Whatever happened to the fire barrier statue hype? Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more some content. So I wanna have a discussion about the fire barrier statue out here. Don't worry, Robbie. You know what I heard from a lot of people in the back over there. Yeah, you guys over there. The fire barrier statue is going to ruin this format. All right, and it's like. But the problem with the idea behind a barrier statue existing in a format is you can't have the best decks be all the elements of that barrier statue. Because if you're out here trying to play the fire barrier statue, for example, out here, and you're like, oh, okay, so we got Rescue Ace, you've got the Snake Eyes, you've got Fire King, soon to be Infernoid. How many other fire piles do I need to mention to you out here that are basically that exist in the meta? So the idea behind the barrier statue, if Rogue was better off, that would be the point that I would be like, oh, okay, like we can see the barrier statue. Okay. If all of the best decks in the room are fire, and fire is just having to fight itself in every one of these matchups, all right, then what in the world does the fire barrier statue actually do for you? Like, that's my whole thing about this was, the fire barrier statue was, I'm gonna play the fire barrier statue. We're gonna be able to deploy this card. Our opponent's not gonna know what to do with it. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna win all these free games. And it's like, fire barrier statue user runs into, guess what? Fire deck number 1, Fire King. Oh, you normal summon that thing? Guess what? That fire barrier statue is going to sit there the entire time as they go combo. Nice barrier statue. Battle phase? Attack. And plus, you have to dedicate, a summon/extension to it. And, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. This is, the difference between, the wind barrier statue and the fire barrier statue was, when the wind barrier statue was a broken card, you didn't, it's not to say it's not still a broken card, but you had all of these other decks in the room that weren't wind. So that's a win. And then you have decks out here like Sharks. I know, right? I'm using Sharks as an example. I know. The tier 2.5369 pile. But realistically here, you've got to look at it like this. I hate to tell you this, but Water getting the chance to use a barrier statue right now, it's not the best deck in the room. Isn't that crazy? That it's not the best one? And because of that, because you don't have to worry about, the infinite mirrors. Okay, if two Water duelists have to run into each other and play themselves, that's just unfortunate, all right? That happens. There's nothing you can do about it. It is what it is, I feel like, at that point, all right? And also, the inclusions of these barrier statues, if you're choosing to play them, it's not like you're going, oh, yeah, I'm going to play, 3 of these things. No. I wanted to make this video and go, we have a fire barrier statue. It's a broken card. But the problem right now is it's nobody's choosing to play it. And it's because there's no point to play it. Because Rogue is not a viable strategy. Now, here's the most interesting thing about the barrier statue right now that could possibly come up later on in these decks' lives, though. You are at the cycle right now where I'm going to say that the fire decks are the absolute strongest. Now, as we start to go through every one of these ban list phases, though, and we start to crank back the dial of power on these fire decks, that would be at the point that I would start to go, now I would suddenly want to start exploring the options of this, because suddenly, okay, now that we've dialed back the power on the meta, then suddenly as these other decks and also, other decks kind of start to run on into the meta here, then, a Fire Barrier statue or a Barrier statue of choice could start to look a lot more enticing. The other problem right now is hand trap usage is at its craziest all-time high right now. You have imperms, you have veilers, you have ashes. Ash doesn't, some of these hand traps don't mean anything to the barrier statue, but the point is all of these decks are playing these insane amounts of hand traps out here, which puts this pressure on these decks to, if you're ending on like a full combo board and then like a barrier statue, then everything else that board does along the barrier statue, the barrier statues also serve a purpose of forcing your opponent into a battle phase to clear them off of the field. And at which point, if you, obviously get into the battle phase and then you clear it, then you'll combo up on main phase too. That's, if there's a water barrier statue on the field, and there's like, maybe like a Stealth Kraken next to it, that Stealth Kraken is going to protect the water barrier statue so that you can go down your combo line, or, at least keep it on your field so you can do your thing. Also, I believe you can Rhoda for the barrier statue of fire, but it's just, this card was so hyped up by a lot of select individuals out here that were just like, fire, fire, fire. But I think what people didn't realize was how insanely strong the fire deck is in itself. And as I'm playing infinite mirror matches out here, it's not worth it at this point in time to just consider it. So I feel like that's the perfect example for the fire barrier statue as to why it fell off and it didn't necessarily, touch off. That's just, Konami designed the fire support in such a way that they wanted you to be able to buy the Fire King structure decks and be able to play. The thing that they didn't tell you, though, was when you bought all of those structure decks, that you also needed to spend, the extra chunk of money in the sets in order to, update the deck and have it be able to be competitive. And that's where our problem there lies, is, as we're going to call it, the DLC content for Fire. I think going forward here, as we prepare for the changes of format, the changes of evolution, the dial back on Fire itself, I think more people will look at the Fire Barrier statue over time. I think you're probably, realistically, I would say you're probably 2-3 formats away from even remotely considering a Fire Barrier statue main deck at all. And that's like knocking Fire off a pedestal. Maybe at the end of 2024, I think would be about the time that you could look at like the scraps of Fire and go, hey, now we can finally, all these other decks are finally starting to do their thing. Now we can actually look at the Fire Barrier statue and do this as, possibly Diabell Star, you see the checks on the wanteds after the reprint equities come through, and they start hammering down these search capabilities, original Sinful, hopefully getting checked out here, the bridging of the gaps for these sorts of things. At that point would be the point that I go, okay, now we can access the barrier statue for the maximum value. Yes, did I just make a 10-minute video on barrier statue? Yes. Did I have to listen to infinite people tell me the barrier statue was going to be absolutely good? Yes, I did. And I just like analyzing these trends that people will sit here and go, yeehaw, yeehaw, barrier statue good. Like, you don't know nothing. And it's like, who even are you? And why are you this passionate about this? Like, I don't understand. Like, it's just a barrier statue. But, it definitely is going to be quite interesting to see how things go from here in the future. Fire barrier statue. Will it find a place in the meta? Anything is possible. This is, Yu-Gi-Oh! After all. So please, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think about the fire barrier statue possibility of meta play. You guys have a good rest of your day, alright? Patrons! Thank you!
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.